Ladies and gentlemen, this is Andrew E. Guy. Welcome to another episode of the Ilirpodcast. It is the podcast that's dedicated for those who are on the go. Whether you travel by land, air, or sea, this is me, Andrew E. Guy, in the Morning. Listen, I am completely pumped right now. I know that every week we bring the show to you and said, Andrew, what's the deal? Why are you so excited? Listen, as I've said before, and I will continue to say, I am excited about people. I love people because what would the world be if we didn't have people? But what's amazing about these people is the individuals that we are bringing to Ilirpodcast. Remember what we're saying, Ilirpodcast. What does that mean? I am listening and I am ready.
It's the moment you've been waiting for. It's a conversation that must be had today and not tomorrow. Welcome to another episode of I'm Listening, I'm Ready with your host, Andrew E. Guy. Let's talk about it.
My next guest is disrupting normalcy everywhere he goes, because that's what we're talking about. How do we disrupt our normalcy so we can change the trajectory of where we are to where we want to be? My next guest, Mr. Ryan Singh, a filmmaker, a producer, and the CEO of Ryan Singh Productions Limited. This young man is making moves. He's basically a trailblazer for those or people of color who are retelling the story, not history, but rewriting his story. I won't even waste any time. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the Ilirpodcast table for this conversation, Mr. Ryan Singh. Ryan, say what's up to the people.
I'm listening and I'm ready. Hi, thank you for having me here, Andrew.
You're welcome, my brother. How you doing, man?
I'm amazing. I'm amazing. Life has been going like everyone complains it's such a bad time, and I'm complaining it's such a great time, and I can't be enough for everything that is happening around me.
Oh, man, that's excellent, man. I wish more people would have that same mindset that you have right now, because I think even though we're walking through the valley of COVID and the 1920, it just seemed like you got to have the right mindset. And it's come down to mindset nowadays, you know? If everyone is running to the hills and said, poor me, the rock is falling on me, then we won't even live to see the next day. But it's the mindset as we go through this pandemic that's going to determine how we get out of this, man. There's so much to talk about, Ryan, but I would love for you to tell the people a little bit more about you and what you do. Please go ahead.
Well, I'm a filmmaker. I've been a filmmaker for the last 20 years. And I'm really now just starting my journey and really enjoying the process of discovery, because I feel like the last 20 years was just preparing me for what is to come.
Wow.
And I think if I had started earlier, I probably would have become narcissistic and egotistical, which is still in there, but
right.
Now it's humility that is taking over and allowing me to see the possibilities and opportunities that were always in front of me, but now I can see them illuminated and I can reach out and grab them.
Do you think that, and it doesn't have to be just for filmmaking, just people in general, when they reach that plateau, when they get the sentence in the middle of their sleep, I have arrived, right? That they literally feel like, you know what, humility is no longer a vitamin that it should take daily. And what I mean is that humility gets kicked out the door because now all eyes are on them, like Tupac once said. Do you think that's missing in the professionalism that we try to display?
Well, when you operate from a place of lack and you start getting something, humility is the last thing you want to have, because you're coming from such a low place that you want to celebrate all of the excess and success of having. But when you realize that you're always learning, you can be humble because you're always open to receiving new information, learning from different people, new people, younger people, and just growing with people as opposed to growing above people and having them beg you. And so that's where I'm at right now.
You know, Ryan, that's so, I love the way you put that. And I think if we as individuals look at it as we are always growing, we're always evolving, we're always getting better than we were yesterday, just that mindset alone should be a humble mindset that said, I don't know everything. And I heard Florence Shen once said that our teacher is every man. We can learn from every man because their stories are different from us, and what they have been through can help us to navigate where we're trying to go. But I'm telling you, Ryan, I'm excited, man. You're going to the film festival. Your film is going to be featured. There's so much to talk about, but I really want to talk about, you know, your episode that got aired on Global. So, you know, you're now big time, as we would say back in Jamaica, big up, right?
It's just a story. It's just a story. I mean, I'm fortunate that right now I have something to say.
Right.
I remember hiring a publicist a couple of years ago and paying that publicist, and I didn't really have the money, but I paid the publicist anyway. And I said, you know, can you promote me? And that was in 2018 or 19.
Right.
And the publicist came back because you always have to pay the publicist up front, 100%.
Yes.
Right. She came back a month or two later. It was during TIFF that I wanted to be promoted, and she came back about October. I said, I'm sorry, but there was nothing to tell about you.
Wow.
And yeah, that laid me out because I've been doing and working hard and grinding, and every cent I made was money that mattered because I was reinvesting it into the company. So, you know, kudos to my publicist right now, Sasha Stoltz. I've known her for 20 years, starting out at the Real World Film Festival when she was a publicist back then, 20 years ago. And, you know, I called her up and I said, look, I'm looking for some publicity. And she said, yeah, I can do that. I know you, Ryan. You do amazing work. I watch you all the time.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm still grinding. I'm still building. I'm still starting. And she's like, you are ready. And, you know, just having that cheerleader behind you to say that you're ready and willing to go out and fight for you and say, hey, this person needs this platform because they have a story to tell. And that's the story that I have to tell. It's a story of that I wrote with my kids. They were 6 at the time.
Yes.
But I want to start mentoring them to being curators of their own stories and not waiting for someone else to tell a story so they can be a part of it. And so I give them the pen and I said, let's write. And we wrote a nice little story, and it got my son his first ACTRA credit.
Yes.
And now he's a full ACTRA member with the film coming out. And it's amazing to see that both my son and my daughter are able to activate their own creativity through this film, and to see the accolades that is being awarded towards them for the work they've done, for the work we've done.
Yes.
And, you know, it's not just us, but it's our director, Katarzyna Kochani, who continue to champion the project even when I perhaps wasn't believing in it, because, you know, in the beginning you're thinking, oh, it's just a little project, especially from a person of color, where we often don't feel valued for the things we create, but someone else will see that thing and buy it from us for pennies and then sell it back for millions.
Right.
And so she championed and said, this is good, this is valuable, this is necessary. And with her belief and seeing the response of everyone who's been working on it, I started to see the value in the work that we're doing.
Yes.
And so now, aside from just going to the festivals and receiving, you know, some good feedback for our film, we're working on developing a TV series out of this short story, Henry.
Oh my goodness, man. Listen, let's pause for a minute. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to me for the first time, you're listening to Andrew E. Guy and Ryan Singh. on the Ilirpodcast. I'm listening. I'm ready. I hope you are listening, and I hope you're ready to take the steps to change your life. We're having this conversation that's going to disrupt your normalcy, because wherever you think life was normal for you, I'm sorry, Ryan is going to throw that outside right now. He's about to swing the bat and hit a home run in your life, because that is what it's about. He said one thing that just resonated with me is activation. A lot of us have been laying dormant for many, many, many years. We have the skills, the gifts, the aspiration, but we have been deactivated. And so he wants to activate you so you can take your story and rewrite history. Ryan, let's continue this conversation here, my friend. I love the part when you talked about you need a cheerleader, because a lot of time we are passionate about something, and in the green room we were talking, and you said, no, I've got to connect you with this person, right? But that comes from a place of community. In community, I mean, you're trying to bring other people along with you. You see somebody has something and you can spot it right away. Boom, that person has something. Now, let me help get them to the right person, because if they get with this right person, they're good to go. They're on their way. And I love that concept, because you talked about your director, that yes, you had a dream to do something, but this person is saying, you know what, you're not just going to have this dream, you're going to live this dream. And that person helped to just fuel you along the way, even when the tides are against you, seemingly. So as you go through this project and getting Henry out, were there ever times specifically when you feel like, maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew right now, or I just don't see the logistics of making this thing happen or bringing it to fruition?
Every day, because now I have to write the pilot.
Wow.
And writing has been my Achilles heel ever since I came to this country, because in the Caribbean you have a certain way, a deportment of how you write, and then you go to the classrooms when you come up here and they put you back and they tell
Right.
you have a lot of run-on sentence because you bring a whole lot of ideas into your
Yes.
writing. So it's a fearsome experience, but it's an important experience, because if I don't put pen to paper, then I can't wait. I can't make an excuse that my story is not being told.
Right.
Our story is not being told. One of the beautiful things about that is that we were able to screen this film for some kids in North Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know North Etobicoke, you truly understand that it's a very diverse but
Yes.
lower income neighborhood.
Correct.
The South Asian kids there, they have the ability to still see the possibilities
Yes.
and accomplishing those possibilities.
Yes.
So they had many questions for my kids who were part of the talk back.
Yes.
But the African or Afro Canadian kids, they still don't see themselves in that zeitgeist of possibilities. Think about ourselves younger.
Yes.
When we are looking at the jobs and we're thinking, I can be a CEO of that company. That guy's about my age.
Yes.
And then we go for the job interview and they make us feel like we're so small and we're not able to be where they are. Or maybe we can start at the ground level and
Right.
start sweeping. And we sweep and we watch them and we emulate them, but we're still the sweepers.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw these kids quiet.
Wow.
And not necessarily seeing the same dream like the South Asian kids. And I'm like, we need to start telling our stories, because we need to activate the dream in our children.
Yes.
So that they can start seeing themselves in whatever field or opportunities that there is out there, and they can start working towards meeting those dreams.
Ryan, you said something about make us feel. I had a conversation with another gentleman a few months ago, and the term came up, the phrase came up, make us feel. And I disagree with the gentleman, and I still had to question that phrase, make us feel, because the person who is doing the do or doing the damage or being the stimulus, they are only the stimulus. They feel none of what we feel. So if for me, I don't look at it as saying make us feel. There may be the stimulus, right, that triggers something in us, but I don't believe they make us feel. I believe that there's a trigger that happened as a result of our mindset. And so what we need to do now is readdress how we're thinking, because I've heard it said, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if a person triggers something in you and you started feeling less than and feeling that, oh, I'm not able to, I'm not capable, then I denounce that conversation. I say, no, I am more than able. It's the narratives that you as a parent is telling your children that's making me so pumped right now. Because when our children ready to rewrite their story and they say, Daddy, I can. Not only can I will. So what we need to be doing is to change the narratives or the script, so to speak, and you are the man when it comes to script, for these kids and say, no. I notice you're not asking. And as soon as we see something that's not happening, we say, I notice you're not asking any question. These guys are asking more questions. Why is that? And we dig a little deeper to make sure that we're understanding, so we can say, we know that there's an issue here, there's a cause, and it's pinpointed and address it right there before we leave the room. And I think that's what I would have done when I go and I speak at schools and all these different places. If I don't see my people asking, I say, wait, stop the music. Why are you not asking a question? Why doesn't this affect you? Why are you not excited about this? There's a reason. And I dig deeper and I found out that is the narratives that they've been sold.
Absolutely. I mean, I recently lost a job, but I gained an opportunity.
Did you lose the job, or were you transitioned? I
lost a job. I was working. I purposely went for a job 1 week into getting this skill set, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for a lead position. you know, on one end, the person was right. The person's like, if you have never worked in this field before, what the F did you choose to come for this position?
Right.
You have no experience or reason for being here. And I'm like, I have every reason for being here.
Right.
Because everyone starts out from someplace.
Right.
And it's in you to show me what I'm doing right or wrong. Right. If you don't think I'm where I'm supposed to be, because you started out at some place as well.
Correct.
Right. But what happened is that out of that experience, I was able to come back to my own company and my own projects. And oh my God, I can't believe that I've been away for so long, because all of a sudden I'm back in, and this is not the growth, but awards start coming in, interviews start coming in, and because I'm available, I'm here to take it. Talking with you.
Yes.
You put out a call and say, hey, Ryan, when are you available? I go to your stuff and I say, okay, I can interview with you tomorrow. Bam. I press 10 o'clock and here we are, right?
Yes.
But if I was out working, I wouldn't have time for my own growth, for my own conversation, and to help bring my own people up.
But you know, Ryan,
because I'm doing someone else's bidding.
Oh, say that again, my brother. You know,
because I'm doing someone else's bidding.
I love it. You please say that one more time. Please say that one more time. But put
I
we
won't
in
be
there.
able to bring my people up because I'm doing someone else's bidding.
And you know, Ryan, the reason why I ask you to restate that is because I believe that we get so caught up in building other people's dreams that we put ours out. And we devalue what we have. And we're always going to a job instead of working our work. Miles Monroe, my mentor from the Bahamas, once said, if you're busy building somebody else's dream, you won't have time to realize you have one for yourself. And notice that you said, when you come back home to what you realize you were missing, there's some kind of activation that I'm missing this. It's almost like the prodigal son that went out there and did everything he wanted to do and then come back home and say, well, wait a minute. My dad has servants at home. I'm out here eating in the pig trough. Are you serious? And the strangest thing is that sometimes when we go out there and realize that, you know, we got greater things at home. We could be working on building ourselves. Yes, there's nothing wrong with having a job, but you always got to have work because work is in line with your purpose. And that's what I wanted to commend you on, that these interviews, you're only beginning, my brother. There is multiple more to come. I'm just really glad that I have the opportunity to sit down with you now in the grassroots stage of you blowing up. I'm like, you know, I knew this brother. I'm telling you, he connected with me, with Dr. Vibe. I can say Ryan, not from a third eye optic. I can say from a first eye optic, we sat down and we had this conversation. So I am excited, Ryan, but there are a few things that a few questions I really wanted to get to. And is, why are you necessary at this time?
Why are we necessary at this time?
Love it. I like the way you
say that again, please.
Why are we necessary at this time? We meaning our stories, we meaning our gifts, skills, expertise. Why are we, people of color, necessary at this time? Speak on it, brother.
We as human beings have always been necessary, but we as human beings have chosen to desegregate each other.
Yes.
And put us into different categories, silos, troughs.
Yes.
And say some people can eat up here and some people can eat down here.
Yes.
And nobody should ever cross between the factions. I don't look at myself, I can't see myself as a colored person because I'm mixed with so many different ethnicities. When I go into the South Asian circle, I call myself South Asian.
Love it.
I have a name for it.
Yes.
Sing. Then I go in the black circles.
Yes.
I call myself black.
Yes.
I have a face for it.
Yes.
Black.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
When I go amongst white people, I call myself Ryan.
Yes.
I have freckles.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And when I go amongst indigenous people, I call myself indigenous.
Yes.
I have the indigenous slant on my forehead.
Yes.
Right? We belong. We belong in every place that we see ourselves. And we need and should be afforded every opportunity to grow. Right? One of the things I often say, and I've been saying it for a long time, even before being awake, is that I work myself out of work, because if I work myself by giving other people an opportunity to rise and elevate themselves, then my job is done when they're flying.
Yes.
Right? And so I have to find another opportunity somewhere else because that job is done. Wow. So I work myself out of work. And I continue to do that because I don't want someone to stifle their dreams by being with me for a long time. I want them to grow and outgrow me so that I can say, hey, can I have your services because you are so big?
Yes.
And I've been seeing some of that already. I've watched, even in LA, I am watching some A-listers and I'm like, I remember when we would sit down and chat for hours in my car till 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'd be so awake because I'm doing my passion. I'm living my dreams. I'm telling stories and I'm affecting the way stories is told in someone's body. And I can see that story emitting right now in the work they're showcasing. And I'm like,
that's amazing, man. That's amazing. Ryan,
you see it in my eyes.
Listen, my friend, you know, when we started, I'm listening, I'm ready. It took me a while to start it because I am a speaker and author and coach and stuff like that. But I wasn't the podcast type of individual. But I love to conversate with people. I'm talking about meaningful conversation. And I've been thinking about this for a while. And many people say, you should start a podcast. You should start a podcast. I was like, no, that's not my style, man. I'm the guy that they call in to do these talks. I go in, do what I got to do, then I leave. And I realized, you said that you work yourself out of work. I would do that, and then the conversation would stop. Little did I know that when I go do these training with these corporations, they still want the conversation going. And I realize now that after the talk, I can say, hey, listen, would you want to be on our show to talk about your experience? Had no idea that they would really want to come on and say, you know what, Andrew, you did so and so and so for our clients and for our staff, and we just loved it. And it opened up my eyes to another possibility, that the conversation after the conversation can be another stream of income that I have been putting underneath the table instead of putting on the table. So I am really thankful for that, because I love what you just said. You just kind of activated something in me to realize that the conversation that you had in your car with those other A-listers, now I could be creating A-listers, perpetually, by not cutting off the conversation after the speaking engagement has ended. So, man, I really appreciate that. I documented that. I wrote that down because I always have a pen and a paper. So I really appreciate that. Ryan, we want to jump forward now to give you some opportunity to kind of talk about the film, because I want people to understand that when they come here and they listen, they get educated about the guests, not just listening to me, but they get to know the guests based on the conversation that we're having, so they can see themselves in the conversation and say, wow, I have a dream. I don't just want to have a dream like Martin Luther King. I'm going to live the dream, because a dream not lived is an opportunity or a harvest postponed. So can you talk to us or talk to the audience about the importance of not just having a dream, but taking action to make the dream your reality? Take it away.
Well, how far back do you want me to go?
brother, take it.
When I was younger, I always had this dream of, I remember watching my father send me a stage play of his, and I was 10, 11 years old in Guyana, and he sent it to me in VHS, and we didn't even have a TV in our house, much less a VHS player. So I would go to the neighbors and watch this film, this stage play like if it's a movie.
Yes.
And I watch it over and over again, and nobody could touch it because that was mine.
Yes.
That was mine. And so when I came up here, I wanted my father to direct me into the place where I could be an actor just like he had done for these other actors.
Yes.
But he had never transitioned fully to understanding how to move to the film business.
Right.
And that was my passion. I studied it at school. I came out of school and I wanted to get into it, but I didn't have doors or opportunities or know how to, because if we're not in the fold, we're outside.
Correct.
We're working at a community level.
Yes.
And until someone invites us in and say, hey, you can hang out, you can sit down,
right,
it's cool, you can eat from that buffet table, it's you're okay to do that.
Love
and
it,
you're like, oh man, this is how they're living. All right. So I discovered that, and I started producing with my father's stage plays, but I didn't want to stay in the community.
Right.
I spent a number of years doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to look outside. I'd have 100 other jobs, but I still kept coming back to being a creative.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a camera. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because your point is more important.
I'm still on my trail. I
have something
to add
right there. No, you go, my brother, you go. I have something to add to that.
All right. So I bought a camera, and I started filming, and I started documenting the community. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize then that I was a documenter of the community. I thought that I was the videographer,
right,
the cameraman. But I was honing my skills as a documenter. I filmed the BBPA. They were one of my clients. I filmed other events, Real World, Caribbean Tales, everyone. And I had this body of work, but the body of work could only go so far because I wanted to be a filmmaker. I started to tell little stories here and there, short films. And soon I saw an opportunity of going to South Africa. Mm-hmm. In 2013, I went to South Africa. I used the excuse of having a camera to join a team of people going to Africa for the first time.
I've never been. That's one of my dreams to go.
I went with Dwayne Morgan.
Oh man.
There we go. There we go. So what's your impression of South Africa? What's your impression of Africa?
Oh my God.
Right?
I got to go.
Think
That's
about
my
that.
impression. I have to go.
Right? You're Afrocentric and your work is laid in Afrocentrism.
Yes.
But you've never touched the land.
I've never touched
You've never
it.
felt it. So whatever you have is secondhand knowledge. And that's memento. Memento is moving from secondhand knowledge to a first-hand experience.
Yes.
14 of us, 12 Afro-Caribbean Canadians, and 2 white people were on that journey. And we got the transition from that experience of meeting Africa for the first time.
Gosh.
And feeling that deja vu. That deja vu of, it's deja vu because it's like you move from a place where all you did was learn about yourself through hand-me-downs.
Right.
And then you realize these hand-me-downs have meaning, have roots. And here's where the roots are. You know, like sometimes you see women with the bands around their waist and you're like, but that's to keep their shape and that's for them to procreate. You know, and so you don't know that as an African. And you see our culture is being appropriated by others and used in a different language, a different light, in a different phrase.
Yes.
But it comes from somewhere, and that's what I learned when we went to South Africa in the film Memento, which is playing at the Hamilton Black Film Festival on the 28th to the 30th of May.
God. Whoa! I got to go to Africa one of these days. I'm telling you, because I've seen so much and I've heard so much. And I want to go there and have my own experience. I don't want them to talk about the tea anymore. I want to go and make my own tea. You hear what I'm saying? I want to sit down. I have to go. That's one of the places I have got to go. And I know the great God creator who created all of this, he's going to make that happen for me one of these days. I've got to go one of these days.
Well, you're going to be there in about 5 months. I was just looking at my time.
Oh, yeah?
Wow. You're going to be there in 5 months. I was just looking at my time, my universal time.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because if you got to go, you got to make it purposeful to go there.
Yes.
And if you got to go, you got to take, I'm ready, as your road trip. You have an excuse to go there.
I have to go, man.
Right? There's no other time but now to be able to go there. Right? Ghana is bringing people back home.
And I heard that they're giving land
There's
to
a
for
whole
those people.
homecoming. They're giving land if you want to invest in there. Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
We got to talk about that, right, my friend? We have to talk about that. There's much to talk about.
Yeah.
So when are you going back again?
I don't know. Maybe the film is going to take me there because I have to share it with the people that I captured.
Man, listen.
And some of those capture. One of the experiences that I had was, imagine being in South Africa in 2013, which was just about 19 years since it became free.
Right.
Right. Imagine in less than a generation, people were not allowed to walk through the same doors as white people, as a black person.
Oh my gosh.
Right. You did not have the same opportunities. We stood in a theater, the Florida Cap Theater. And it's in Cape Town.
Right.
I forgot what it's called. But they were doing an award ceremony called Florida Cap. And we stood in the stage and the person was telling us, she says, before, the only way black people entered into this theater is through the back doors, and all they did was they cleaned the stages.
Right.
They couldn't perform. And now they make an effort to take the theater into the townships and bring the townships onto the main stage.
Wow.
And what was fantastic was the first time I ever saw on an award show in a Western country, because South Africa is considered Western.
Yes.
I'm going into my South African accent as I speak.
Go on, my brother. I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and he's from Nigeria. When we texted, my brother, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. I've got to talk. But I'm sitting there talking to this brother, man, and I'm saying, like, keep speaking. And the more I said, how do I say it that way? He said, you have to have passion. You
have to have passion.
Yes. You don't have the passion. You cannot explain. You cannot be a Nigerian. You have to have the passion. I absolutely love it, man. And I'm just like, that's really who we are, though, man. But this, I'm telling you, I'm saying we have got to continue this conversation. I'm telling you. But one of the things that I came to mind when you were talking about, the outsiders and being in the community, and then when you get to come to the table and they say, come and sit at the table or come and eat this food. Because in my past, I wanted to get into acting myself. I've done several extras in His Father's Shoe with Lou Gossett Jr. They shot that here in Toronto. And there is another movie that was shot here. Yeah, there was another movie several other movies that were shot here. And I was extras in these movies. Rebound.
But you have a look like Danielle.
Say again?
You have a look like Danielle from Us.
No.
Yeah. You could have passed for him. You had your career ahead of you and you didn't even know that.
My friend, but it's never too late though. It might take a man like you to rehash that. Because Rebound, remember Rebound, the Earl Manigault story. I was in that movie. So I met several of these guys when they came down here to shoot. James Earl Jones. I met all of these guys. Kevin Garnett when he was just starting out. I was extra in his movies and stuff like that. So
you're listening to I'm Listening, I'm Ready on Ilirpodcast.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to me for the first time, this is Andrew E. Guy and Ryan Singh, and you're listening to the Ilirpodcast. I'm listening, I am ready. We're back with a conversation that's disrupting normalcy to help you get out of your normalcy to see the possibility of what life can hold for you. Ryan, we were talking about the being on the outside and stuff and coming to the table. And the issue was that when I was an extra, I didn't get to go into the main room where the main actors were eating. That's the point I was trying to make. And the extras just get like the sandwich to go, all that kind of stuff. And then one day, I don't remember, they had me substitute for one of the main actors, right? Because I was going for the Earl Manigault.
Stand in, you were standing.
My brother, I had no idea. I was standing in and standing up. And I was going for the basketball player because I used to play basketball when I was very good at it, right? And I was looking to get a scholarship. And I went to try out. Someone said, hey, listen, go try out because you got some skills. And I was standing in for the young Earl Manigault, right? And I'm like, are you serious? And I'm there, and they said, no, you don't go sit with the extras. We need to make sure you're ready to go. I'm like, dude, I was in there. The table was spread. I was shocked. I had no idea, which is when you were talking about coming to the table, didn't understand. Yeah, you were out in the community. That's exactly what the experience was for me. I was doing extra work, and then it was different. The meal is different. The catering is different. And then when I was to stand in, boom, it was a different story that was happening. So I love
your treatment, your relationship to everyone and everything. They spoke to you differently. I spent 10 years doing background. 10 years doing background.
Right.
And then I started to feel my spirit hit the ground.
Yes.
Because I was like, I'm not the background player. I'm an actor.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be treated like substandard.
Right.
So I had to step out of being a background. I left. I walked into becoming a full ACTRA member in 2008 when Barack Obama was nominated as elected as president.
Yeah.
That same day, I went in and I signed up for ACTRA on the 4th of November 2008.
Wow.
I became a full member, and I went to Chicago and I started filming my journey to Chicago with said people from that are now in LA.
Right.
And I came back I worked for 10 years because I just wanted to be on set. And I said, I'll just go on background and do a couple gigs just so I could be on set. I didn't realize that I needed to leave background and maybe work on set actually in another capacity to be on set.
Right.
Because you're never allowed anywhere when you're background other than holding.
That's it.
That's it. You're corralled. And they actually call the person who does background a wrangler.
That's true.
Because you are held as a sheep and they have to wrangle you. And
it's a different experience.
I haven't felt bad about leaving background. It was a nice experience for what it is, and a lot of people respectfully do that,
right,
and have a really good living. But for me, I saw more for myself.
So the question now that I really ask most of my guests is, my concept, my motto is helping you to create your greatest impact where you live, work, and play. A book that's coming out by this fall. Because I look at success as trifold. So yes, we have that external success that people can see. What about the one that people can see? How are you using your platform to manage your success at home? I mean, with family and so forth. What's that like? Who's a Ryan at home?
Well, I cheated. Mm-hmm. I really cheated.
Yeah, tell us the cheat code.
My wife is now in the business. We did a sick kids hospital. You probably saw it on my social.
Yes.
Sick kids hospital commercial, and she was featured in that in retelling the stories of mothers, and
wow,
it was a very powerful and impactful engagement. And my kids, the whole family is supportive of our career. So I manage the kids, their career. They're constantly acting. In fact, they're going out to a set today to do some background work.
Awesome, man.
I allow them to do background work right now so that they can still feel a win as they audition, and in between gigs they could still feel like they're on set and they're experiencing the set life.
Yes.
Because I don't want it to leave them. I want them to stay passionate. And my mom is going out with them to that set. And my mom recently had a gig herself. I brought her in, and she's been doing some background as well from time to time. And so I just use my platform as a way of engaging the entire family to see a meaningful living or a meaningful pastime in it. And we are able to connect through that journey of storytelling.
Sure.
And you know, I've seen my mother have a renewed, because about 6 years ago we had a very toxic relationship. You know, all she saw was me grinding, and I would go out to these background work, and in 10 years I made $70,000. You know, so I spent more time waiting. And for her, she looked at me and she's like, he's not working. He's not interested in working. He's lazy.
Right.
But all this time I was just planting seeds. Yeah. And because of that, today I can celebrate the sprouting of those seeds. Right. But not only that, I'm able to spread some of the rewards around, because when you don't know, you have to learn, and when you start learning, you start to get opportunities, and you have to stay focused to continue with those opportunities, and then you got to grow when you have those opportunities and become a leader. And when you become a leader, you have to be in charge of the people and yourself around, because you have a responsibility, and your responsibility is to be what you call a role model.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to be not just a role model for myself, because I'm still in a learning phase, but a role model for my family. They have to see that all of the investment of time into this work can pay off. You know, and so I watch my in-laws, who are very supportive now. I remember meeting my father-in-law. He's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I'm a filmmaker." He's like, "What is your real passion?" Filmmaking. what are you going to do for real work? And now he's like, oh, he's working, and so
Is
that
it
shift
he's
in mindset.
working or it's
I'm working.
working? Ah,
It's working. He's working.
that's right.
When they say I'm out at work, they know that I'm out of work because they can see the results, because they
Yes,
can see credits, they can
yes,
see work, they can see the kids working, and it's it's humbling because it's a struggle and nobody sees the struggle, they just see the victories. And when we post on social media, we're posting only the wins, but they don't see the many rejections,
yes,
and it's painful.
yeah,
And you live between compliments,
yes.
because every time you feel down and you feel like I want to end it all,
Hmm.
somebody call and say, hey, I saw your work and it was so inspiring, and you're like, oh, thanks, I remember that one, because there's so few I've done, I can remember
Wow,
each one.
wow. It's powerful, Ryan. I'm telling you, the message that you're sending right now, the vibes that I'm getting right now, is when you talk about if you don't know, so you have to learn. But what I always tell people is that once you learn, it's now incumbent upon you to teach, right? So they too can overcome, because there are others out there who don't know that they don't know what they don't know, right? And so we now have to teach them. Absolutely love what you're saying, man. And the part that you talk about, it's working. Yes, he's not working. And I realize that if it's not working, it seems as if you're not working. But when it's working, they see that you're working and working is being done. So, man, kudos to you, man. Kudos to you in all your success. And what I want to do right now, we normally have this section where we talk about called Think, Fire, Shoot. We should have done that already, but the conversation has just been lit. You know what I'm saying? And it's just
Dude,
been
I've been firing since I started, before I started.
I'm telling you, man, the conversation just been lit, and I
I
didn't know.
left the thinking cap outside.
I'm
I'm
telling
not bringing that back in.
and I didn't want to cut it for anything, man. I'm just like, this is amazing to have this grassroots conversation, because I know these grass are going to turn into trees, and these trees are going to become bearing fruit, and the fruit going to have seed in it. So we're going to sow, keep on sowing and growing. But what I want to talk about right now is a section we call Think, Fire, Shoot. It's a moment in our show when we give our guests 4 questions. They got 15 seconds to answer them. 15 seconds to answer each question. So you're going to be on the hot seat, brother. All right. And how are we going to start this? You're going to start off by telling somebody about your name, what you do in one sentence. And then I'm going to put the clock on and we're going to get ready to rock and roll. So you got 1 minute to answer these 4 questions, but it's 15 seconds each. So you are now on the hot seat. So let me go ahead and prime, turn on the stove. And so you can see what's going on. All right. The stove is now lit. You got this look on your face like, man, what is he talking about?
Oh, I'm always ready for a competition, so let's do this.
All right. So what you're going to do now, so you're going to start and you're going to say your name. My name is Ryan Singh, producer, filmmaker, and tell them a little bit about your company, and then we're going to get ready for Think, Fire, Shoot. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Andrew E. Guy. Welcome to the episode of the Ilirpodcast. I'm listening. I'm ready. It is now time for Think, Fire, and Shoot with our special guest of the moment, Mr. Ryan Singh. Take it away, Ryan.
Hi, my name is Ryan Singh. I'm a filmmaker. I've been in the business for over 20 years, and I continue to build, create, and tell diverse, inclusive stories for all audiences with Ryan Singh Productions Limited.
Now, you hear that voice right there? You hear that studio voice, ladies and gentlemen. So, all right, let's get ready. So, Ryan, the first question is simply this. Are we ready? Clock is ready. The first question is this. When you migrate or immigrate into a new country or a new domicile, what's one of the first things that the immigrant should be thinking about? Go.
How to become successful in that new environment by researching as much as possible what the conditions for living and making a living is all about for them.
All right. 11.67 seconds. All right. Get ready. He's heating up. Turn up the stove a little bit. All right, Ryan, the next question is simply this challenge. It's challenge, okay? How do you, Ryan Singh, deal with challenges, right, in the filmmaking industry versus how you manage the challenges at home? How do you manage challenges in the filmmaking or your work, so to speak, and home? How do you manage those two? Ready, go.
Stay hungry, stay awake, and stay prepared. Was that too fast? Am I too fast?
Hey man, listen. Hey, listen. You know, hey, listen. Hey, that where'd you get that cheat sheet?
Well, if I had some sleep, I wouldn't been able to say it.
Where'd you get that cheat sheet, brother? I'm telling you. All right, very good. All right, question number two. Question number two. Okay, question
Number three.
Advice in one sentence or less for family men, for men and leading their family. Advice in one sentence or less that you would give to men and leading their family. Ready, go.
Listen to your wife, full stop.
Oh, have mercy. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to remind you, he's a filmmaker, okay? He's a filmmaker. So what he...
Let me expand on that. You want to give me one sentence?
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead. In one sentence.
Go ahead,
but
brother.
You know what? If I had listened to my wife, you know, when you're a young man, you're not humble. You think you know it all. I've done it already. My wife said, you know, go to school, study. If this is a craft, write out everything you need to. And I'm like, no, I got it. And now I'm doing everything she told me 20 years ago. Imagine I could have been where I am right now and further 20 years ago.
Wow.
That's over $1 million of ego wasted.
Wow.
In hard cash. Or more. That's just the baseline.
Yes.
Right? So when you don't listen to someone who is telling you things to do to make yourself better and prepared, you waste time, money, and a whole lifetime.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got none to say right there. And it's rare when I don't have anything to say, because we're going to go on to the final question right now with Ryan Singh. Ryan, this is a quote that I have in my upcoming book, Create Your Greatest Impact. And I tend to ask my guests this question. And the question is simply this. On the highway of life, most people spend their lifetime looking in the rear view mirror. But on the highway of living, they should be focusing on the windshield ahead. What say ye? Go.
Every day I say to myself, tomorrow is my best day. So I go to sleep tonight, waking up, hoping that tomorrow is going to be my best day. And every day I have a tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is Mr. Ryan Singh. He just tore it up. I'm telling you, this man shined today on Think Fire Shoot. He just kind of cruised through it. You know what that simply means? We're going to have a hotter stove. Question have to be longer and tougher for individuals like this one right here. But ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank Ryan for his time. We had an amazing time. I'm looking for more opportunities for us to collab and do some other great things. So Ryan, what I want to do right now, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about if you have a program, a website, or anything that you want the people to know where to find you. This is your time. And if you have any closing words for our viewers or anything like that, man, go ahead and make it rip. I would really appreciate it. And go. It's your time.
RyanSinghEnterprises.com or RyanSinghProductionsLimited.com or RyanSinghProductions.com. Twin Papa 321 is my Instagram. Ryan Singh Enterprises on Facebook or Ryan Singh Media on Twitter. There's too many. Just Google Ryan Singh, you'll find me. Stories are all over there. Catch our films at the calgaryblackfilm.com or HBFF, Hamilton Black Film Festival.com. Or we're going to be playing in New York City, Independent Film Festival, New York City, NYC, IndieFF.com. If you're out in New York City, just go and check it out and let us know what you think of our films. Again, my name is Ryan Singh. Thank you for having me, Andrew. Really appreciate the conversation. I'm out.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the conversation with filmmaker, producer, and owner and CEO of Ryan Singh Productions Limited. Producer, writer of Henry, the new film that's coming all the way to Hamilton and it's going to Calgary and soon in New York. This man is doing amazing thing. I want to thank him for his time and for his contribution to this amazing disruptive conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time.